Okay, now I want to show you how to appraise damaged items. So as you know, 50% of the money that we make is going to come from damaged items. We talk a lot about this in the course. But now I want to show you how you can evaluate it, because sometimes it can be a little tricky depending on how damaged the phone is. So let's start off with the basic damage stuff first, then I'll get into a little bit more advanced stuff in a little bit. So I've got my eBay sales here, and I went down to a few of the damaged items we sold recently. And here's one, an iPhone 6S. That's what I called cracked works. Now, there's a difference between cracked works or cracked and the screen has other problems. So with this one, the phone is somehow cracked. Actually, you can't even see the crack in the screen. Let's see. I guess there's a little crack there, but you can't see it in the picture too well. But there is a crack on this phone. You just can't see it in the picture good. But anyways, but the phone still is fully functional otherwise, all right? But that crack is very important, because whether it's a tiny crack like this where you can't see it, or it's a big spiderweb crack, believe it or not, this phone will sell just for about that same price. Okay? Now, if the phone had like a big dark spot on it, that's what's called a cracked LCD. So let me just type in like iPhone 6S cracked LCD, and I'll show you an example of what that type of phone looks like and why there's a huge difference between that and a cracked working phone. So see, here would be a cracked LCD. You can see the picture is all messed up on this one. And believe it or not, that phone works fine. There's different layers to the screen. So there's 3 layers, which is the touch, just the glass. Then there's the touch sensor. And then there's this little TV in there. That's called the LCD, and that's what makes the picture. Now, the reason why the LCD is so much less than a cracked working phone. For example, look at this. iPhone 6S. Oh, that one says cracked LCD, so we can't use that. But let's use this here anyways. Here's an iPhone 6S cracked LCD, just recently sold for the same as mine. I mean, about the same time as mine. But this one's $179 I got for mine, and that one's only $129. The reason is I don't know who buys these, but I have a pretty good feeling whoever purchased these, they have kind of like a refurbish center. And it's easy to just cut the glass off this for one of those manufacturers. They have big machines and systems that do this. They can cut the glass and still salvage that part on this phone. So they'll pay a little bit more to get a phone with a cracked working screen. And not only that, some people, believe it or not, will actually buy these with the crack and just use them because they don't care about the crack that much, so they're willing to pay it. But when the screen isn't usable and there's dark spots or there's problems with the screen, they can't refurbish it, which detracts the price quite a bit. It's going to bring it down. As you can see, almost $50 here just for this phone. And in this price range, that's a lot of money. And here's another one, $40. It brought it down quite a bit. Okay, so let's just look at how to appraise this phone, the cracked working one first. So iPhone 6S, let's type in iPhone 6S cracked Verizon smartphone. Now, I'm not going to type in cracked works. I'm just going to type in cracked. If I type in the word works, and not everybody uses that in the headline unless things will show up. Okay, so now that's a 64 gig. How many gigabytes was this one? 16. So let's just type 16 gigabytes to weed that out. Now remember, here's the 6S Plus. We can't use that. Here's a 6S 16 gig cracked LCD. We're looking at that one. Now we can't use that because that's cracked LCD. This one now, this was a cracked working one. It looks like $179. Sometimes you just got to read the listings on these tricky ones here. Cracked screen, nothing else is wrong. Okay, so that's good. We can use that one. $177. As you can see, that sold just about the same price as the one I just sold, $179. So that's okay. Here's one sold for $133 plus $6 shipping, so it's about $140. This one says cracked. Let's see if there's anything else wrong with that. Rejected because the button was missing. Okay, so the button is missing on this one, so that's extra. So see how that brought that price down? Because the button, doing a whole button on a phone is like maybe another $30 or $40. In that price right now, if this was an expensive like $500, $600 phone, it would bring that price down more. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, how to do the real advanced stuff, because this one's got 2 problems. That's cracked, and it's got the home button missing. Let's just focus on the other one that was cracked. Here's the 6S broken cracked glass. So $179. As you can see, it looks like they're almost all selling for $179. So this is a super easy appraisal to do. But what if it was a cracked LCD? Well, what we'd have to do is we'd have to now change this to do cracked LCD. And let's see what shows up. Okay, so we got here $129.95. Now this one's iCloud locked, and if you've gotten to that section of the course already, you'll know what iCloud lock means. Obviously, that's not an apples to apples comparison, so we're not going to use that one. This one's $129.99. This one says good LCD. We can't use that one. This is a good one. Good. Here's cracked LCD, $129.99. So it looks like I probably can find a third one, but from this point, it looks there's $149, but it doesn't look that bad. It's probably gonna sell for about $129.95 if there's a cracked LCD. And again, remember the cracked LCD means it's got some kind of like dark spot on the screen, a black spot, the touch screen doesn't work. All that would be under cracked LCD. Or if you get this one with the weird lines, but the phone turns on, or even if it's completely black, but the phone turns on, everything operates, you can hear everything, but you don't see a screen, again, that would also be cracked LCD, okay? So then, what do you do about like a bad charge port, or let's say a home button not working? Sometimes that's not as easy. So what I like to do is if it's, let's say the phone's in good condition, but let's say the charge port doesn't work. But it's hard to find a phone where the charge port doesn't work, especially if it's not an iPhone, it's something else like a Galaxy, or even maybe like an HTC or an LG, which isn't even as popular. Maybe I can't find one with a bad charge port to use as a comparison. What do we do then? Well, I'm just going to kind of go off the cracked price. Because remember, appraisal is an art. It's not an exact science, right? So I can't know what it's going to sell for with a bad charge port, but I can kind of guess pretty closely. I can get pretty close to bullseye because I know, it'll be similar. If there's some kind of problem with the phone, it may be $10 or $20 off, but the cost to replace it will be about the same. So what I'll do is if, let's say I got an iPhone 6S with a bad charge port, I'll look up what they're selling for with the cracked screen, and I'll use that as my basis of comparison. So even though it doesn't have a cracked screen, it's going to be similar price, and that's how I'll do that. The same thing if it was a bad home button or maybe a cracked back, I would use the same basis of comparison. Okay? Now, what do you do if there's multiple issues? What if it has the home button missing and it's got cracked? Well, that gets a little trickier. You got to look at, okay, what I recommend doing is you got to get a little advanced with these sometimes, but maybe find out, well, what's the 6S Verizon phone going to sell for, let's say in good condition, right? So good condition, let's say, I'm just going to do this really quick. I'd say about, that's a 6 Plus. I think about 200 around there. Here's 180 with shipping. Let's just say about 190 to 200, right? And with a cracked screen, they're selling for 170. Now, that's only taking $20 or $30 off the price. So that's not too bad. So what I'll do is I'll figure, well, okay, a damaged item knocks off about $30 on the price. So if it's cracked and it's got a home button damage, then I'm going to figure out what the cracked price is if I can appraise that. I'll type in cracked. And then I'll knock off maybe another 30 or 40 bucks, depending on how severe the issue is, to bring it down for another issue. And then if there's another issue, I'll knock it down another 30, 40 bucks if I figure that's what it's going to detract on that phone based on that comparison I just did. And then I'm going to go like 10 or 15% lower than that just to put that safety margin in case it does cost a little bit more than what I thought in there. I'll put a little safety buffer of about 10 to 15%. Okay? You may have to rewatch this video once or twice just to get a concept of this, and you'll get this better the more phones you buy. Like as you buy more cracked phones, you'll get practice with this. I know this sounds like a lot all at once, but the more you watch this, you'll get better at it. Okay, but now you know how to buy cracked devices, and you should be able to appraise those pretty good. And the more you do it, the better you get. Don't be intimidated. Okay.